Good afternoon, everyone. It's Monday afternoon here up in Glens Falls. It's absolutely dumping snow out the window, which feels weird on top of everything that's going on. But yeah, we're going to chat today about joining data and later on in other videos about accessing census data, bringing census data into QGIS, and visualizing that U.S. Census data, especially important as we are about to embark on the 2020 census, and we will have a whole new bunch of really interesting data to look at in the next few years. In a nutshell, joining data is the process of taking geospatial data. In this case, this is a shapefile of the United States that in the NAD 1983 USA contiguous Albers projection. Each of these state polygons doesn't have any attribute data associated with it. What joining data does is it takes attribute data that is in another shapefile or in a Excel document or CSV document and adds information through a unique shared field to create new spatial data. In this example, we're looking at the percent of the state's population that has a graduate degree. And we can see Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. So if we were to come in and map Alabama's percent with grad degree, we don't have the ability to do that with this data alone. We need to add in information from this table so that we can then map this information. Map on the right here shows state by state the percent of the population with a graduate degree, and we can see that the East Coast sort of has a high concentration, as does the West Coast and Colorado, Illinois as well. What's great about this process is that it allows us to take simple shapefiles and populate them with more complex information that we might be able to find online or in other sources. So let's get back into census data. If we remember pre-pandemic, we talked about different sizes of census data from block, the very smallest geography in the census, the block group, about 1,500 people, the census tracts, which are about 4,000 people, and all of these sort of nest within each other, up to place, minor civil division, and then county, and then up to state, of course. So when we were playing around in class, we were playing around with block data for Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore City, Maryland. Today, we're going to go through and search out census tract data. That's 2 levels up from blocks. Remember, it's this data right here. We were playing around with block data before. We're going to find U.S. Census shapefile data from the U.S. Census website and U.S. Census tabular data from data.census.gov for the entire state of Maryland. We're going to stick in Maryland for this episode and one assignment down the road. So I'm just going to zip through this stuff real quick, and then we'll get into the actual nitty-gritty of this in separate videos. This is a link to a census page that has cartographic boundary files in shapefile form. There's a ton of boundary information here. Basically, almost everything you would ever need to find for mapping sociopolitical, demographic information or data can be found on this uscensus.gov/geography site. So when we go in, we'll scroll down to census tracts and download that. I'll walk you all through that. Setting up the QGIS project, again, we'll go over this in another video, but opening up QGIS and just sort of following some procedures, just like we would with setting up a project in ArcMap. We're going to walk through bringing a shapefile into QGIS and reprojecting it, downloading tabular census data, that sort of table that we're going to join to the geography of census tract data, We have some preparation that we need to do on that data to make it turn it into a format from very, very complicated to very simple so that we can actually read it in GIS. And then we're going to go through the processes of joining that spatial and tabular data and visualizing that joined data. Ultimately, produce a map. The map we're going to produce is a percent of the population per census tract that only speaks English at home. And there's some pretty interesting patterns that pop up across the state of Maryland from this. So that's our plan for these set of lessons. We'll dive in first to downloading shapefile data. We'll probably try to keep this in as many short videos as possible. All right, see you soon.